Hey, Garrett Brill here. So if you've been watching, following any of the pictures and videos I've been posting on social media over the last few weeks, you know that I've been testing out the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. It's been a really great platform. This is going to be kind of your overview slash review slash everything you need to know about it. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can, but just be warned, this is going to be a long video because there's kind of a lot to this thing. So maybe grab a bag, hit the pause button, grab a bag of popcorn, and kind of let's go. All right. First of all, let's start with this. What is the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual? First of all, it's a Mavic 2 Enterprise. It's an enterprise level product. Enterprise has some other features, but most noticeable with both the zoom and the dual is the accessory port. I'm going to go ahead and kind of pop this cover off here. And in that cover, you can mount the strobe light, the spotlight, and this is like I think 2500 lumen spotlight, brighter than you would believe by far. Then we have a loudspeaker, and again, don't judge it by its size. There's some videos out there, we're able to hear this thing clearly, understand what it was saying from 700 feet away. All right. Before we get started, though, too much on this, so why do they call it a dual? Well, they call it a dual because it has dual sensors. As you can see, there's a FLIR, or maybe you can't, but on this side there's a FLIR. On this side there's an optical, and not only you can see thermal and optical, but there's actually a MSX technology that blends them together. Before we go too much further on this, I want to be clear about something. There's been a lot of discussion online about it, and I just want to get it out there and be clear. This does not replace this. Now, this is the XT2, for those of you not familiar with it. This is the one that goes on the M210, the M200, M600. It is a highly capable, just a very impressive sensor suite, and it has a lot more capabilities, higher resolution, longer detection range, on and on, than the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. Now, I want to be clear on this. It does not replace it, but it is the perfect complement, supplement, augment, whatever your favorite word is on that level, for each other, meaning that while this may be more capable as a sensor, this can go places that this can't go, and it's faster to deploy, and it's more portable, etc. Right? So I want you to know that they complement each other with capabilities. Okay? So now that's clear. This does not replace this. Repeat, this does not replace this. Okay? All right, so let's go forward with this. What this is this is really the first ever highly capable, reliable, small platform, meaning that this thing will fold up. These arms fold up, these props fold up, and this thing can actually fit inside your cargo pocket on your pants if you needed to. Platform that has both optical and thermal, and it solves a lot of challenges, and we'll talk about those later. Okay. Real quick, if you want to know about all the accessories, to keep this video a little bit shorter, I'm not going to go over all of the lights and the speakers. If you want to see that, go watch my overview video on YouTube. My channel is just my name, Garrett Brill, but go watch that video over on the Zoom, this one that I did, the Enterprise Zoom. It takes the same attachments on the top, and I went over each one of those. So just to save a little time, I don't want to spend too much time on that. All right. Instead, let's power this thing on though, and let's go over the settings on here. And then I just want to talk for just a little bit about the applications and what I liked and didn't like about this particular platform. Okay. Go ahead and power this on. We'll also probably talk real quick about what you get in the kit. What basically, this is a test unit, and you're a production unit, so I should be nicer than this one. I just got what I got. You guys will get a very nice carrying case with all very nicely presented. But I can go over some of the things that will be inside of there for you. All right, so here we go. By the way, this is the controller. Takes the same controller as all the other Mavic 2s, including the Zoom version. I prefer the Crystal Sky, the DJI Crystal Sky is what I'm using. I'm using this adapter from Fly High USA. And of course, you can take, and there's some adapters that come with this. This is designed really to work with cell phones. So you can use either your iOS or your Android. These little adapters just plug in the side and your phone goes there. Nice thing about this is if something were to happen to my Crystal Sky here, I could easily just put my iPhone in there and still be up and running. All right. So anyway, let's go into here. I think. Okay. All right. And as you can see, we're already in. This is in MSX mode. So let's just kind of go through the controls real quick and talk about a few things. So first thing, MSX. What is MSX? It's really kind of a blending technology, meaning that you're seeing a thermal image, but with the optical, there's some algorithms in there that are finding the outlines where you can see it. I don't know. You can see there you go. You might be able to see the DJI. There you go, right there. So I don't know how well you can read that. There's DJI right there and if you put it on just regular infrared, you can't see that. So it's detecting that and showing that to you. That's great for your hazmat placards or any kind of contents and stuff like that. Also for license plates or addresses, whatever you might need to read. Anyway, that's MSX. We have IR, which eliminates that overlay in case you need to get rid of it. And then we have visible. Now you can see this is just your regular up to 4K camera that we can look at later. So kind of go back into MSX here. This button is just to adjust your parallax. They are side-by-side sensors, so you can adjust how your MSX overlay looks depending on your range between your subject and yourself. This is your spot meter. Turns on that little tool there, and wherever you touch, it will meter for temperature. All right, wherever that spot meter's at. You can also turn on zone metering. I happen to have alarm on too, and that's what you're hearing. But the zone metering, it's an adjustable box, and there's all kinds of great things you can do with that. But basically it says just look inside this box on my display and tell me what you're metering there. It'll tell you your max temperature, your min temperature, your average, and then of course that's my alarm threshold that I have there. All right. And of course we can turn these off. Fat finger. There we go. All right. So that's up on your upfront displays. I'm also not going to go through a whole lot on your regular controls because that's going to be in your owner's manual, and also anybody that's flown anything DJI is going to be very familiar with all these controls. There is one thing that I want to point out that's actually really neat though, and these are on the Enterprise Mavic 2. It's only available on those. See this bottom auxiliary lighting. So on the Mavic 2, both the Zoom and the Pro, you have auto on and off. On the Enterprise Zoom and the Enterprise Dual, you have navigation light mode. Now the nice thing about that is when you turn on navigation lights, that means that once it takes off, it'll use the lighting at nighttime. It'll use the lighting to help it with location, accuracy and stuff. Once it gets above about 25 feet, it'll turn those off, and then it'll go into a strobe, which works really well to kind of as a dual strobing. If you have your strobe up on top, it works like a dual strobing, one on top, one on bottom. All right. I don't want to go into too much more on that. This does have OcuSync 2 on it with your dual band, and what that means is that you have much higher bandwidth and faster transmission rates and transfer rates and everything else. Okay, let's go into this real quick though. All right, your photo mode, you have your single burst interval format. It's just JPEG. It's JPEG plus RAW. It also saves your RAW file in there. And you have 16:9 and 4:3. In your video, you have MP4 or MOV. In your thermal, it says 640. There's been some discussion about that. No, this isn't a 640 resolution thermal sensor, but everything is upscaled to 640, so it's easier to use when you pull the images off of the SD card and look at them. For your visible, you can do 4K, 2K, or 1080p at 30 frames a second. Okay, let's go over into some of the thermal settings. You have your histogram, timestamp. I want to kind of stop and pause on timestamp. That's actually a really cool, awesome feature that they added. What it does is, if you have that turned on, it will put not just a timestamp, but a date, time, and GPS location on not in your metadata, but actually on superimpose it, if you will, on every one of your images and videos. So that works really well. Video caption, what that's for those you don't know, is if you turn that on, there'll be, on your SD card, there'll be another file associated with every video, which is GPS locations. You can load those both into software, and it'll basically show you on a map the same location on a map as the video, so you can see it kind of simultaneously side by side on that. Smart LEDs, that's just to be able to turn your LEDs on and off depending on your settings. ROI is region of interest. So right now it's on full, and for the most part, when we're using these in the air, it's going to be on full. But if you do get some sky in there, you can have the part of the sky omitted in your algorithms, meaning that it's going, even though you have some sky in your field of view, it's still going to optimize everything for what you're looking for on the ground. Okay. If you have no idea what I just said, you probably need to familiarize yourself with Thermal Imager a little bit more. Color palettes, so these basically tune it for whatever you're looking for in particular. We have a subset on this Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. We have 5 of them in your normal mode, and then we have 5 more when we turn on isotherm. So there's 5, and then if we turn on isotherm, which we do have, which is a very nice feature, and now you can see everything went black, but you can see my hands over here stand out significantly. So that's one of the things isotherm does. It really helps you. It's kind of a crutch, if you will, to really help you see stuff that normally you'd have to look a lot harder for. You have the quick picks for search fire, search people. Of course, anytime you're looking for people, you're always going to want to go custom and adjust your lower temperature. But in this case, you have your high and low that you can adjust to. Okay. Now, once you turn on isotherm, as I mentioned earlier, you have 5 more color palettes. All right, so there's what you have there. 5 other ones. I'm not going to go through all of them. They just, as you can see, they just kind of change what you see visually. So I'm going to turn isotherm back off, go into regular mode. Gains, you have auto, low, and high. As you can see, high is a range of 14 to 284 Fahrenheit, and low is 14 to 752. For the firefighter guys, that's going to be important. If you want to measure something above 284 degrees, you're going to need to go into this manually and set it to low. Okay. Temp alert on and off. You saw I had it on. You can turn this off. This works in conjunction with that zone metering. Okay, so you have temp alert on. I have it 63 degrees, and again, the way you get it to alert is by turning the zone metering on, and then again you can move it to wherever you need to see it there. Okay. And we'll turn this off, and then go in and just turn that off. Well, yeah, we'll just turn that off for now. All right, you have the grid. Anybody knows how to use the grids? That's for your photography type stuff. And then your indexing mode, storage location. This does have 20 gigabytes onboard storage. So if you forget to put your SD card in there, you can do that, and you can pick where your 22.45. Oops, sorry. 22.45 gigabytes available. Right, so you can, if you forget your SD card, you can still capture everything you need. And I know some guys that have forgot their SD cards on their Inspire 1s and M210s when it really should have been in there. All right. For the most part, though, that's it. Again, all the other settings are kind of common to the Mavics, Mavic 2s, I should say, and to DJI products in general. I don't want to go into all this. This will get to be a very long video if I do. Okay, let's go ahead and power this off. Okay, so I want to kind of go over a few things. I have I have a list that I made that I kind of want to go over. First of all, we went over, and again, I want to reiterate, this does not replace the XT2 by any means. But let's go into some public safety. Everybody knows that's kind of what I do, if you will. It's what I mostly focus on. Capabilities of cost. One of the big things that this overcomes is the capabilities of cost. There's been a challenge, especially with small agencies, small departments that can't afford something like an M210 or an XT2. So hats off to DJI for making this affordable. You can call your DJI Enterprise dealer on that and get the price, but it is extremely affordable for what it is. Pretty much every department can now afford these. Logistics. So one of the other challenges, well, where are we going to put the M210? We can't, pull our extrication equipment off of a truck, or we can't dedicate a vehicle, is what I heard quite often. So how are we going to carry it around? Well, that solves this problem. This thing fits in a little case. You can literally stick it under the seat. It's very portable for its capabilities. I can see this being a first on UAS. Even though you might have an established program with a M210, you have this one in your squad cars or your police cruisers, and it's your first one in the air, and then you decide, well, while you're getting the M210 in the air, maybe dispatching it from the department for extended duration, this can be first on scene. I probably don't need to elaborate much there. You get the idea. Interior operations. So this is the first compact portable with dual sensors on it, and it's small enough to fly indoors. I see some of the guys maybe even claiming. I saw one the other day. That thing was the size of an M210. They were claiming indoors. I wouldn't fly that in anything size, less than a warehouse or a Coliseum or something. But anyway, they made the claim. But anyway, this is truly compact enough. I have flown it through doors. There's some videos of it out there, and it flies into the dark. All right. The other thing about it is it's quiet. They changed the airfoils on this. This thing just gets up a couple hundred feet, and you almost can't even hear it. So they changed the airfoils and everything out. Quietest Mavic of any of them that I've flown yet. We went over so we have the loudspeaker. We went over that. That's an attachment. We have the spotlight, and then we have the FAA 3 statute mile anti-collision strobe. Those all mount. They are hot swappable, meaning you don't need to power down the aircraft. You just pop them on there and do it. Again, I have other video from the Mavic 2 Enterprise Zoom. You can go watch that one, and I show operating all of those. So let's talk about some of the uses that we had it on. We have flown this on real emergencies. It's performed well on all the emergencies we flew it on. Structure fire and grass fire. I wasn't really expecting it to perform as well as it did. There's a video of it out there. It performed really well. The incident command and my chief Baker, both of them were very pleased. It was used both to in the fire extinguishing itself, and then also an overhaul to monitor the progression of the fire, and then an overhaul to accelerate it, find the hot spots, put them out. Worked really good. It's shown to be really good in close quarters, again, in hallways, down hallways, inside buildings, dark buildings. So one of the things I want to talk about is if you've flown a Mavic 1 inside, you'll know as soon as you fly in the dark room, it just starts drifting, kind of goes into ADDI mode, as they say, because it's dark in the sensors. This one will turn on these bottom sensors, illuminate the room. You can fly in there, combine that with the thermal and the spotlight, and dark rooms are no longer an issue. You just go in and take care of business. So worked really good. We also flew this on some solar panels. It did really well. In fact, we found a dead cell in the solar panel. One of my neighbors on his roof. So he was appreciative of that. It found a dead cell, and it worked really good, surprisingly well. Flew it on a commercial rooftop. It did pretty well on that. Again, you got to get a little bit close to it, a lot closer than you would at the XT2. It's not really ideally suited for it, but it could be used for a lot of things to get in those tight spaces. Maybe go see a HVAC unit up on top instead of climbing up there and stuff. So let's talk about just a few things where I think it could use improvements or some of the challenges. One of them, the first one, of course, is that this is a fair weather flyer. This thing has a lot of open holes in it that would ingest water. It's not designed to fly in the rain. I don't recommend flying it in any kind of rain. And those of you that know me know that I've flown my Inspire 1, and I've got countless hours flying my 210 in the rain, but I don't recommend flying this one in the rain at all. Fair weather flyer. I wish it were all weather, but it's not. We're hoping for picture-in-picture. As you notice, it didn't have it like the XT2 does. We're asking for it. I think we might get it. Fingers crossed, no promises, but we'll see. Another one is digital zoom. Like to have digital zoom, just like the first gen Mavic Pro. Maybe just a little 3X, but we'll see if we get that or not. Fingers crossed on that too. And then let's see here. On search and rescue, you notice I didn't really mention that. We did test on that, and it works okay. You know, it's not great. It's nothing even close to what the XT2 can do, but I'll say this. If you're a search and rescue outfit, especially volunteers, and you don't have a thermal, it's 1,000 times better than you having nothing, okay? Is it going to work like the XT2 or not even close? So, you know, I think the best way to deploy this on a search and rescue would be to point it nadir with the camera straight down, put it on a pre-flight grid, and just watch for any kind of maybe dial it in isotherm and see what you can see, but also use the loudspeaker. That's probably going to be your biggest advantage on that. You know, communicate with your missing person, try to get them to move or to move towards you or just to react at all. Another couple things I'd like to see does not do radiometric images, either still shots or video. So, you know, you can load it in FLIR tools, but you're not going to be able to generate any radiometric data out of it. And the last thing, I know this may sound kind of silly and petty, but it's something that I'd really like, is I probably should have shown this earlier when we had it powered on, but you can't pan. This is a panable gimbal. You see it move side to side just like you have on some of the bigger units. But the only way we can pan it is by holding our finger until we get that blue circle and then move it back and forth. I'd like to see a C1 or C2 hold, and then the gimbal wheel here is what I would really like to see. Probably the only other challenge, and I wouldn't say this is necessarily something that they would do, but this is probably third party, is that for public safety, a lot of times we don't get the luxury of landing out on flat pavement. Some people hand catch and hand launch, but the landing gear extensions, so there's actually some landing gear extensions for the Mavic 2 Enterprise, and they fit on the Zoom, and they fit on these two. I got those from Fly High USA as well, and it picks this thing up like an inch or two, so where you can land in some tall grass and stuff like that. So the one other thing, so let's go over one other thing real quick. The hardware that comes with it, we went over that. Of course, it comes with the charger. One of the things I like about this charger is it has a built-in little cable here to charge the controller on top of the battery, and then it has another USB port, say for your phone or whatever it might be. And then the couple things that I recommend that you get would be would be the Flymore kit. The Flymore kit, whenever you get that, you get there's a car charger where you can charge these things on the fly. That's going to be important. You get more batteries. And again, batteries are like water to firefighters. You just can't have enough of it to an extent anyway. And I think it comes with 2 more batteries. And then, of course, a charging hub. So instead of having to charge one at a time off of this, you've got this hub. And they do not charge simultaneously. It is serially. But still, you plug them all in, and then you come back a few hours later, and all your batteries are charged. And it is nice and portable and fixed in your bag there. The other thing I'll recommend is the prop guards. Right now, we don't have prop cages yet. We want them. We're begging for them. We're asking for them. If DJI doesn't make them, maybe a third party will. But we do want prop cages for both the Mavic 2 Enterprises. But right now, prop guards, I highly recommend you get those if you're going to fly indoors at all. So with that, I think I've covered just about everything I want to talk about on this. I tried to go as fast as I can. I could have made this a lot longer, but if you guys have any questions, if there's any other thing you'd like to know about it, please feel free to comment below, and I'll get to you best I can. So anyway, hope this helped, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.